afternoon, honorable guests, teachers, parents, fellow classmates, and the alpacas that I see in the audience today. I'm Caitlin Lynn, and on behalf of the High School World Scholars Cup Club, it is with great pleasure, to welcome you all to this assembly today. We would like to extend our gratitude and thanks to all the role players who have made it possible for this event to become a reality. Now, I want to ask you all a question. What would be possible if our school was filled with students who were responsible, who had initiative, who were creative, and who got along with others of different backgrounds and cultures? Our guest speaker today, Mr. Daniel Berdichevsky, a graduate of Stanford and Harvard universities, what a champ, envisioned the dream of establishing a world-class educational program that would mold and guide future generations of enlightened minds. This program, the World Scholars Cup program, connects the world like never before, creating a new kind of learning environment through a thread of common scholarship and common curiosity. Today, we want you to think about your future and what your challenges are. Y'all, get ready to be inspired by the indefatigable man himself, the pioneering spirit behind the World Scholars Cup. Ladies and gentlemen, your alpaca-in-chief, Mr. Daniel Berdichevsky.
That was something. Birch has a new rival. Scholars, this is a really special and different kind of occasion. I know that it's been about a month since Caitlin and everyone here began working on making this happen. I want to thank you. I want to thank everyone here for being with us. And I also want to ask a special favor of those in the back. Please do not be in the back. Guys, come forward. Let's be a community. Children, go grab your parents. All right. Fail. But you know, so much of innovation is failure. So, let me ask you guys, before I get started, how many of you have done the World Scholars Cup before? Okay. And how many of you have not? This is kind of hard to count, so let's do this more visually. If you have not done the World Scholars Cup before, please stand on your chair. Not a good idea? Okay.
Do it anyways.
Okay, we lost one scholar. Okay, please sit down before you hurt yourselves. So this is an unusual moment for me, in lots of ways. One of them is that it's very rare that I get to come back and reunite with a group of scholars that have been part of the program. In a sense, this is a chance for us as old friends to share some time together. And part of what I want to do today is share with you and answer questions you might have that go beyond just what is the program, but maybe toward what is the program about and what could my future in it be. But for those of you who are new, a special thanks to you. Because you want to see this program grow here and throughout Taiwan. For you guys, I know there might be some confusion. You have walked into a theater, this beautiful auditorium, and all around you are stuffed animals. There is on stage a grown man with his own stuffed animal that he's been clutching all afternoon. You will have to talk to your parents in the back about why this is an academic event. What exactly is happening here? Now, the World Scholars Cup has been around for a long time, 10 years this year. And another reason this is a special moment for me is that when the World Scholars Cup began, around 2007, and I can tell you more about that in a little bit, one of the first schools I visited in the world to share the program was this one. I was in a classroom upstairs. The principal invited me in. I sat down in the room, and they said, well, tell us about the program. And it became clear to me in that moment that I didn't really know anything about the program. The World Scholars Cup was brand new, and I think it took us 4 or 5 years to figure out what we were doing. And one reason I'm so grateful to this school is because you guys have been with us on that journey since the beginning. You've helped us figure this out. And for 2 years, we hosted the rounds right here for Taiwan in this room. We had flags on the stage. Has anyone been doing this long enough that they remember Mr. Zach Ellington? Our former tournament director who had great dreadlocks, this was his first tournament as well. So all kinds of beginnings here. And for those of you who are new today, I hope that you look back at this as your beginning in the World Scholars Cup. Now, my mission then for you guys who are new has 3 parts. Part 1 is to officially invite you. Let me do that. You are officially invited to the World Scholars Cup Taiwan, which will take place March 31st, April 1st at Kaohsiung American School. Okay, you've been invited. Step 2 is to intrigue you in some way to make you want to do the program. To help that happen, I'll share some examples of what you might learn and what you might do, and I'll spend a little more time describing him. If I bore you, and I will, for some of you, I have an emergency measure, a video which we'll show of the Global Round 2 years ago. Not quite the same video some of you have seen if you were scholars, but it'll give you a sense of what the program feels like at the global level. And I say global level because if you participate locally, you might be invited to the Global Rounds next summer, where 50 countries send students. This year's Global Round had 3,000 scholars in Bangkok, and about 500 scholars at the second Global Round in Prague. And if you do well there, I know this always interests the parents a little bit more than I imagined it would, you'll be invited to the Yale University Tournament of Champions in November. So it's a long journey, but it begins here at the local level. Now, I said there were 3 things. First, invitation. Second, intriguing you, hopefully. Third, in case these things don't work, I will bribe you. And you can guess what I will bribe you with. I've been told, there we go. This is a bag of alpacas. This is how alpacas kind of go to school together. Like fish. I will give a new scholar this alpaca. So I want to see those new scholars again. Where are you? Okay, don't stand up yet because I'm not going to throw them yet. First, for those of you who are wondering why the alpaca, especially the parents in the back, one of whom just raised their hand. In the World Scholars Cup, we challenge students to learn serious things. Science, technology, art, music, history, social studies. This year we looked at very serious topics like the science of disease. We looked at crime and justice. These are challenging things to think about. And we asked you to practice serious skills like public speaking, debating, problem solving, traveling with your friends. These are difficult things. Serious skills. We never want you to take yourselves too seriously in the program. We never will, right, Julie? Julie sometimes hides in the box, I mean. So, the alpacas are a reminder that the program at its heart is one about the lighthearted nature of discovery, the joy of it. So that's why I'm going to give this guy to you guys. I have bad news. His neck has been split open. So whoever receives him, I want you to make me a promise that you will take good care of him. And those who do not receive him, please promise me you will take good care of the person who receives him. Because a couple days ago in Vietnam, I threw one out, a student caught him, he looked very happy, and then a few seconds later he was under 8 other students. And he was not happy. So, I'm going to throw him to you. But another word of warning, he's having a tough day. English is my second language, all right? Spanish was my first. I learned my English watching Star Trek. Over and over again. And as a kid, I studied math and science all the time. I liked doing individual work. I did a lot of reading. I was afraid of dancing. I'm still afraid of dancing. My only dance move, incidentally. Can you guys do this with me? See, we are now political protesters. This got us in trouble in Abu Dhabi. In other words, as a kid, I was what Americans called a nerd. Do you guys still use the word? I was an amateur nerd. I've grown up into a professional nerd. Nerds come in all kinds. Some nerds are great musicians. Some are great athletes. I am neither of these things. Which is a way of saying that I'm going to throw this at you guys, but those of you who know me well from previous experiences at the World Scouts Cup know that I am not very good at throwing. So to make it a little easier on my ego, I will throw him backwards, like at a wedding. Whoever catches him will be the next person to something. Can you guys give me a countdown from 5?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh dear Lord. Did I kill a chair? How much fluff fell out of the poor guy? Okay, please sew him up. Give him a name, give him lots of love. Thank you guys for not attacking her. Really? Okay. So, a couple examples of the kinds of things you might learn in the program. Now, some of you have already learned these things since you've been in it. Debate is very important in the World Scouts Cup. It's not a debate program. Debate's one of 4 main elements, right? But it's one that scares a lot of us. I know it scared me when I was younger, still today, the public speaking part of it. So, we're going to go over some frameworks for how you might debate. How many of you have debated before? All the scholars, presumably. How many of you have argued with your parents before? How many of you argued with the parents in this room before? Parents, how many of you have been beaten by your children in an argument before? Okay. Clearly, there's a lot of debate spirit in the room. Now, there's a scenario that some of you are familiar with from your history studies of this year's World Scholars Cup. It's a scenario that takes place every day in classrooms around the world. Students walk into a room, they sit down, and on the table in front of them is a multiple choice exam. Sometimes a very consequential one, like the SAT or who knows, an AP exam, something serious. And you begin taking this test, and a few questions in, you come across that question you were dreading, the one you can't answer. You don't know if the answer is A or B. In those moments, there are 2 tactics that you might try. One is well known around the world, historically. It is known as eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch an alpaca about it, something. That's very random. You're giving up to luck, right? The other tactic is a better tactic. It goes like this. You stretch your neck. You look for that student in the room who always gets everything right, because there's always that student. You see what they wrote or filled it in, and you do the same thing. This is the historical phenomenon known as cheating, which I know is new to everyone in the room. I see some laughter, perhaps it isn't. So, this is something we did at all our regional rounds around the world this year. I want to do it now because it'll get at what we're going to talk about in the debate segment here. Students, first parents, turn around, look at the ground, close your eyes. All right, don't look at the students. Students, how many of you have been in that situation and at some point cheated? Hands are coming up slowly, higher, some more proudly than others. Okay, all right, put your hands down. Students, please close your eyes. Parents in the room, how many of you have ever cheated? They're looking at you with their eyes closed. Okay, they're shaking their heads. Perhaps so, perhaps. Perhaps. So, where I want to take this is here. You guys just raise your hands about having done this. Who here thinks cheating is all right? Okay, I see some hands. One strong hand. The rest of you, okay. Let me ask you, if you could start our conversation, why is cheating okay?
Cheating's okay is just expressing what you know. Sometimes you know it, but you just don't remember it.
Thank you. So cheating allows you to channel knowledge that is right beneath the surface and kind of bring it out. So it's a practical solution. Okay, very interesting. Anyone else have a reason why cheating might be okay? The swimmers are going away? No? Oh, they're coming closer. Interesting. Reason why cheating might be all right. Let me offer you a couple. One of them builds on this idea that, practically speaking, maybe copying another answer is necessary. Perhaps this is a very important test, an essential test. Perhaps this test will determine what university you can go to, whether you can become a doctor, and if you become a doctor, you could save a life, right? So maybe cheating on this test will allow you to save a life, potentially. There's a whole school of ethics in which you count the good consequences, the bad consequences, and you see which stack is bigger, and you go with that stack and you say, all right, but cheating is justified. Other people, though, might say that cheating is not okay. Why might it not be okay? Thoughts? Many of you don't seem to think it is. You do. Yes? Because your test could be taken away from you. The rules, essentially. The punishment. Rules are something to think about, too. There's a whole system as well in ethics, which is about following rules that have been given to you, one way or another, for different reasons. Maybe you grew up with a set of rules you learned from your family, rules like never lie, or never take a life, or never copy from Wikipedia when you're writing an essay. Whatever the rules are, you would follow them carefully. And one of those rules might be never to cheat. Some people might say that cheating is okay because it's human nature. And everyone in this room seems to be demonstrating that by raising their hands. If someone says that to you in a debate, cheating is okay because it's human nature, what your obligation pretty much is to do is to face them and say, are there things in human nature that are not good? Can anyone think of something from human nature that might not be good? Shout it out. Sin, potentially. Any specific sins? Killing. Okay, good. Any others? Why might people kill? Jealousy. That's an interesting one, right? Jealousy seems to be a pretty natural thing, and yet most of us would say it's likely not a good thing, right? So there might be things in human nature that are arguably bad. Some people might say greed. And yet, if you talk to an economist will tell you that greed is actually a good force that motivates capitalism in certain parts of the world. And that it can therefore have good consequences. What I'm getting at is not that there's a solution to this, but that you can have a conversation about it. And the World Scholars Cup is all about the conversations you're going to have, the discussions and debates you're going to have. In the World Scholars Cup, you will also need to connect different subjects. This is one of my favorite examples of how to do this. I'm going to need help from him. How many of you have heard of a play called Romeo and Juliet? Okay. For those of you who don't know it too well, it's a traditional play. It's by a British gentleman named William Shakespeare, very famous. Parents all over the world love this play because it's fundamentally about why you should never date as a teenager. Things go very badly. In this play, two teenagers meet at a party in Italy a long time ago. It's one of those parties where people are dancing. Romeo and Juliet are dancing along. And suddenly they make eye contact. And they fall deeply and instantly in love. It's the kind of love that can shake the universe. Powerful love. Bye-bye, swimmers. So, Love is a beautiful thing, right? But in this case, their parents hate one another. And they say, you can't be together. This happens in real life too. Juliet and Romeo are teenagers in love. And teenagers in love are some of the most powerful creatures in the world. So, Juliet comes up with this incredible plan that only a teenager in love can come up with. She will take poison. It will make her appear to be dead for a few days. And at the end of those few days, she'll wake up, Romeo will pick her up, and they'll go live happily ever after and never post on Facebook again. The plan has merit, except that Romeo never hears what it is. Romeo thinks she's actually dead. What does Romeo do? Yeah, he kills himself. It's very sad, very tragic. Teenagers in love, don't date. Then Juliet wakes up and discovers what Romeo has done. And it's like, the love of my life is gone. What does Juliet do? She kills herself too. So sad. Teenagers in love, don't date. Now, in your literature classes, you might discuss the characters or the poetry or Shakespeare's career, which plays he wrote. There's so much to learn in this play. At the World Scholars Cup, you might find yourselves debating with a team from New Zealand or somewhere else in the world. How different would this play have been if the characters had mobile phones? What if Juliet could have texted Romeo? Hey, babe. Taking poison. BRB. In 3 days. Heart emoji. And maybe an inappropriate selfie. And the play changes very quickly into something much more like a comedy than a tragedy because of this instant communication. And one of the challenges of the program when we debate this kind of thing is to kind of think about the future of storytelling in a world with the technologies that we have today. You know the story of Hansel and Gretel? They're a boy and a girl who leave breadcrumbs in a forest to find their way home. Right? Like GPS, Uber, except in Taiwan where it's illegal. As I discovered, I was reprimanded. These kinds of conversations are at their richest when they're being held between you and students from all over the world. So those are the kinds of things you might experience in the program, some of you already have. In essence, though, what the World Scholars Cup is a celebration of all this learning, whether it's at the local level or the global level. And what you'll do it in are teams of 3. So here, who's left who's new to the program? Somebody that's not done it before. You guys need to turn around and find 2 friends or non-friends. You can be teams. And as teams, you will debate 3 times on topics related to what you learn, which will be science, history, etc., around a central theme. You will write essays, creative or traditional essays, together. You'll plan together, you'll write individually. You'll take a test of knowledge of the different areas of the World Scholars Cup. Yes, it is a multiple choice test, and yes, it has the different letters. But in this case, if you don't know the answers A or B, you don't need to stretch or eat meaning. You can actually answer A and B and get half credit. And if you have no idea at all what the answer is, you can answer all the letters and you'll definitely get a 5th of a point. So every step of the way, you get to decide how much you know about what you know. We want you to think critically about that. And the final event is one where you work together as a team with a little clicker device to solve problems being posed by someone on stage. Scenarios, applications, etc. You might watch a clip from the movie, sorry parents, Deadpool, and figure out what crime the taxi driver would have been accused of. You might be given a hospital situation and have to figure out the triage order in which patients will be seen. The challenges range, they get harder. Sometimes they get debatable. But you get to do them together and everyone gets to answer these. It's not one of these competitions or quiz shows where one team answers and everyone else hopes they're wrong so they can answer instead. Everyone does everything together. Around these 4 events, we have a talent show, which is meant to build a community called the Scholar Show. Has anyone here performed in it? Taiwan scholars represented the Scholar Show. Julie, did you ever perform at the Scholar Show? What did you do? Wow. Guys, I haven't had a chance to introduce her yet. I sort of assume you all knew her. Julie was last year's Global Round Senior Division Champion at the World Scholars Cup in 2015. And she has now joined our team. She's on a gap year before university. We're very lucky to have her traveling the world with us, building this program. So if you have questions about what it's like to be a student in the program, there we go. And we also have special guests from Kaohsiung American School, including Angela, and Veronica, no, Angelica, Valinda. I'm very bad with names. And they're the hosts of this year's regional round in Taiwan, so you'll be visiting them in March. Now, at the talent show, you can perform anything you'd like. You can sing, you can dance, you can do what Julie did, or you can do more unusual things. Any talent you have, or any talent your parents have told you that you have, you can recite digits of pi, you can make goat noises, you can do magic badly, fumble a Rubik's Cube. It's about sharing. There's no contest involved. It's just about being together. The Japanese delegation will always do the same dance. And it's very nice. And we're about to watch a little bit of it. There will be a final debate where individuals from different schools get together and form teams. They're the top debaters. Now, rather than debate with their own original teammates, they form new teams. They get to debate on stage like this in front of the whole community discussing a big idea. Were you part of that, Kevin? You were here in Taiwan or the global round? Okay. Later on, maybe you can speak a little bit about what that was like. Actually, tell us, what was it like to be in the showcase? It's okay. She says it's okay to be in the showcase. And at the global round, where the event is a little larger, we'll do things like forum discussions, keynote speeches, a cultural fair, a dance that you may or may not be allowed to attend. That really is a 5-day experience where you get to spend that time both doing the learning side and also the connecting side with scholars from all over the world. More I could tell about that. But with that, that gives you a little outline. Let's watch the video together. And this will give you a sense of what the program is like for those of you who are new. And then we'll take some questions, etc.
We're from the United Arab Emirates.
Kenya.
We're Indonesia.
We're from Pakistan.
Maybe it's a small world after all. Right? You know?
It has been amazing. It's been the time of my life. Thank you guys for coming together in this community. You are the World Scholars Cup.
This global round is so special and feels so special because we have scholars from all around the world sharing those cultures, and they'll be able to go home knowing friends from all around the world.
But you guys had to receive kissing a tree.
My favorite so far was giving a motivational speech to a tree. I know you feel like you're just a tree, but to me, you're the most important thing in my life. I know you can do it, man.
It's really a fun experience. It's an amazing experience. And you get to meet a lot of amazing people.
I think learning is intrinsically fun. I think the discovery of knowledge and seeing how ideas connect is intrinsically joyful. It makes people smile when they see these things for the first time. So what I think we try to do is kind of distill that joy and bring it front and center in the process.
We just did a team debate, a competition where us three collaborating teams to work out 3 arguments to debate with the other team.
And that's what's a good jungle. We were like animals.
We just debated about robots becoming police officers. That's something that's in our world right now. Like, we relate to it.
This year studied heroes and superheroes, and you would think, how much can there be to learn? There's so much to discover about society. What's the psychology of heroism? What's the future of superhero literature in a world that needs to be, that ought to be, that is becoming more diverse? And these questions are both fun, serious, and most of all, inspiring of discussion.
I crammed a lot last night, and I don't know if I actually can retain all the information. But let's just hope for the best.
What we need to do is help refine their skills, refine this creativity, and encourage imagination. So most importantly, we need to do that without being too bored.
More than great fun. You know, you look in the door during the Scholars, and you think there might be some kind of quiz show going on. But it's more than that. It's
teen, or even the teachers. You know, we all have a bit of a kid in us, and I think we all find that the alpaca embodies that type of program.
I would like to see why I would like to stuffed animal. But then when you're like hugging it, you're actually like, why would it do like this?
This alpaca is my teammate. Jeremy is the symbol of what was going to be without like having a little bit of flashiness, doing cool stuff, getting to meet a lot of people.
We just debated a team of people from completely different countries against another team of people from different countries. You had 15 minutes to prepare. That was really cool.
If you can imagine going to school and realizing you forgot your pants, that's kind of fun.
This past debate is probably stick in my mind the most. It was an amazing experience, very adrenaline-inducing.
The talent show gives the scholars a chance to open up, to get on stage, and to kind of show a side of them that isn't academic, that's more creative.
All I see up there is excitement and friendship and vibrancy and chaos and joy.
Oh my god, the ball! Like the adrenaline, and it was intoxicating, like being like so in love with just like jamming.
Music, dancing, like jumping lights, it's awesome. It's amazing. It was one of the best things of my life. The big drums, if you go crazy.
Really not as fun, not friends. Therefore, with friends, it's amazing.
The value of those World Cups actually, firstly there's so many countries which makes it so much more awesome. But on top of that, you get to meet people, which I think is really important. And you get to bond with your friends, you get to test your limits in so many different ways, and it's really awesome.
This year, we had our first ever Scholars Cultural Event. Thousands of scholars came to share and to share in the cultures of their counterparts from all over the world. I walked in there and there were students from Jordan sitting and come try this. There were students from India dressed in the most beautiful outfits.
We brought a bunch of sweets from Slovenia that everybody can try and information so they can learn a bit about our country. It's amazing, like it's getting to know the different cultures. I love it.
The world is small, and we make it smaller by being able to share these cultures.
I've met so many people here. I've met delegates from Australia, Bahrain, Dubai, India, and it's so crazy. You see all these people and you're like, whoa.
You're all like united under one common alpaca banner.
In the bottom of everyone's heart, they all secretly come here in order to compete, in order to show that they are better than who they thought they were before they came. I feel like being humble, but at the same time, I got 2 gold medals, so I'm pretty happy.
You want this? It's a gold medal. You want it? Thank you.
It just means that I can believe in myself, and I found a sort of confidence.
It's discovery of many things that you might never have thought of before. People, cultures, and that's the thing that you should take away from it.
Ask yourself, do you want to trust him? If your answer is yes, chances are you pretty much want it.
I want to see us have our first rounds in Mexico, in Norway, in New Zealand. I can't wait until this hallway of banners behind me is filled with the seals of every country on it. And I know that's a tall order, and I know it will take many years to get there. But the scholars are our allies, the adults are our partners, and they spread the word. We work together to make this happen. And I can't imagine next year not being bigger, better, more magical than this one.
So the hope is that this gives you a sense of what the program feels like to be part of. Not just an academic contest, Not just a rivalry for big trophies, but a real festival for 5 days of learning side by side. Some key numbers to remember for those of you who are new: 2, 3, 4, and 6. 2 is the number of divisions in the program. Junior and senior, you are juniors. 14 and below, juniors, 15 and above, seniors. And I believe last year there were mostly juniors from here. So our hope is to see the program grow in the senior division and in the junior division. 3 is the number of students on a team. You have hopefully already selected your teammates, or will soon. 4 is the number of events. 6 is the number of subjects that you explore. And you explore them with a set of questions that we post on our website. You don't need to memorize thousands of pages, although some students will compose thousands of pages and share them online, and you will think you have to memorize them. Please do not try that. That is not what the real glory or joy of the program is. And with those key numbers in mind, let me ask you now, especially those of you who've been in the program before, do you have questions or thoughts? This is a chance we don't get very often to be together. Would you like to know anything about the program, about Jerry, about Julie's performances, about me, my background, the weather at Harvard versus out at Stanford, anything at all? Yes? That's vague. My background. My family is from Chile, from South America. Spanish was, as I mentioned, my first language. I love many things in the world, including tea, eggs. I had one today for lunch in a taxi, and unfortunately I left little shards of tea egg shell on his seat, and I was like, it's hard to get them off. I think my background in the last 10 years has been building this program around the world. For me, the journey is at its best when we're either holding rounds like the ones you saw, or moments like this when I'm at schools meeting you guys along the way. And we work really hard. Julie over there has been emailing schools all over the world to invite them to the program. Because the more schools, the more people are in it, the better it is for everyone, and the more joy we find in it as well. So, next question. Yes?
Would Julie be saying flawless?
Would you like her to?
Yes.
Julie, would you like to?
You already said
Well, that was virtuous. I'll talk with Julie about her musical career later on over dinner, and I'll let you know. I think there's got to be something there. Next question. All right, I'm going to close my eyes for a few seconds. While I have my eyes closed, talk to your neighbor about a question that you might want to ask but don't want to ask in person. Maybe they can ask it for you. I'll give you 10 seconds, I'll give you a 5-second warning, and then end time when we're done. Because, you know, sometimes you do that, times you do that. 5 seconds. And time. I heard that. All right. Questions now. Parents, you should feel free to ask. The ones that didn't get scared away by the dance part. Yes. What is the story about the water boiler? What water boiler do you refer to, young Angela? It is true that early on in the history of the world, Scarsdale, we had technical issues. Once upon a time in Singapore, we plugged in a machine and burned out the electricity in a whole building at a school. There was thus no air conditioning, and never again was there around at that school. Sad. The water boiler was at a host school in Korea, where in the midst of our second ever global round, it simply exploded. Fortunately, it was underground, no one was hurt, but it meant that for the following 4 days, no one could shower. So it was a very smelly global round. I was not directly at fault. Next question. We can talk about mischief. I truly believe, all right, so let me tell you something my coach once shared with me. When I was in high school, I did this academic decathlon program, and my teammates and I got in trouble. We got in quite a bit of trouble. Sometimes for small things, like replacing a chair in the classroom with a toilet, which was important because one member of the team only liked to study in the women's bathroom, and he was not a woman. And once for cloning the keys to the high school and breaking in so we could study. And when this happened, our coach turned to the principal, as he wanted to sort of like banish us to who knows where, and said that the winning teams in the program are the mischievous teams, are the spunky teams, because they're spent so much time together that they develop these kinds of eclectic tendencies. So I don't want you to break into the school or do anything to the seats. But when you're in the World Scholars, remember that some of those fun moments are the ones you're going to remember 10 or 20 years down the line. So don't hesitate to be a little quirky. All right, next question. Someone asked when they get their finger puppets. Oh, we have a question in the back. Why 3 people? That's a question no one has ever asked. Interesting. Okay, so we take sort of let's take it from the bottom, right? Why not one person? Because it's a team event. Okay? So one wouldn't work. Why not 2 people? We thought, because we've dealt with this question, right? 2-member teams can participate if they've lost a member or lollipop a member, but there are disadvantages because we think that the dynamics that happen when you have at least 3 people on a team are instructive. You really learn to be a team when you work with 2 other people. You have to balance your strengths, you have to deal with the inevitable moments of tension, you get to strategize as a group, you get to collaborate and debate as a team of 3. 2 is not quite enough for that. Why not 4? To some degree, because we want the program to be accessible and have low barriers to entry. That is to say, we want the school to be able to say, here are just 3 students who want to try it, here you go, give it a shot. And the more students you require, the harder it is for someone to do it for the first time. With that said, there have been times when we contemplated whether that was the right number. We've sometimes thought, should we allow teams of 4 and like allow one person to sort of watch and substitute at different events and such? And maybe someday, but we like the number 3. 5 definitely maybe prime, but not useful to us. And speaking as someone who came out of this from that academic decathlon background I mentioned, allowing many teams of 3 has permitted many schools to have many great big delegations in which many teams share the experience, as opposed to say one large team of 9 or 18 or 27. But I'll keep thinking about that, come up with a better answer for you. Next question. Surprise me again. Yes? How is the category for the debating chosen? You mean, how are the topics chosen? We debate them endlessly at the World Scholars Cup. And honestly, choosing the topics for debate is grueling because we want to find topics or motions that are even, but also creative, require hopefully more than one subject of exploration. There's no one way to find them. We have big Google Docs where we're all adding topics and eliminating topics and getting angry at one another for not using our own topics. It's a process. There's an old adage about the process of making laws in the United States Congress. I don't know if the Taiwan Congress is more efficient, but the United States Congress is not efficient. And in fact, the process can get kind of murky, so I think the comparison is that you never want to know what goes into a sausage or into a law because of all the, and similarly, like the process behind our debate motions can be toxic. Next question. Yes? Why alpacas? We had an election our first year at World Scholars Cup. Alpaca defeated the penguin and the emu. They were also nominated. Something I don't admit all the time is that while it was a democratic process, I counted the votes. I did not count them carefully. Because I'm from South America, and alpacas are from South America. All right, don't tell anyone. Next question. You guys want to know where next year's global rounds are going to be?
Yes.
Can we keep it a secret? Okay, not telling them. Can someone make sure he keeps it a secret? Okay, we can't officially announce this yet, because it could still change. We're still negotiating with the convention centers and such. But the one that's really exciting me right now, one of our 3 global rounds next summer, and you'll get to choose which one to attend if you do want the local round, would be in Cape Town, South Africa. Another one will be a little closer to home, most likely in Singapore. And And the final one is most likely to be in a country you may not have heard of, called Latvia, in the city of Riga. Oh, someone has heard of it. I feel better. I tried announcing Riga a couple times yesterday in Vietnam, and people are not excited. Which is sad, because Riga is very beautiful. All right, next question that I've confessed to you guys. Does anyone want to tell me something about their own experience in the World Scholars Cup? Something that you wouldn't normally share? Did anyone make an enemy through the program? Yeah? I should have known it was you. What happened?
Well, last year at the award ceremony, this one was I caught it on day one.
That particular alpaca?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I got another black one, and so did one of my other teammates. And then we went up for one of the awards, and then when we came back, the backpack was open, and then I popped up 2 alpacas.
You were robbed at the World Scholars Cup. I'm so sorry.
And I found the culprit, the 5 alpacas.
Who was the culprit, can I ask? From your own school?
No, it was
Morrison Gauchung or Gauchung? Okay, I'm not too sure. Okay, so there's some inter-Taiwan rivalry that's manifesting here. I know how hard that is. Every so often, our most important alpacas, where'd you go, are stolen. In Astana, the Kazakhstan round, we had an opening ceremony. Do you guys remember the usual suspects, like Totoro and everyone? Within 5 minutes of the opening, all of them had been taken. And we're in Kazakhstan, and we're not quite sure what to do, and then I just declare that we will search everyone's bags and lockers, civil rights, so well. So we went through the school searching everyone, and eventually retrieved them all. I'm like, oh my god, we just became a police state at the World Scholars Cup. So I know they're kind of in pain. And we also bend the ethics of the world sometimes. All right, next. Looking back at the parents, looking at our delegates from Kaohsiung, who are still slightly offended by the theft issue. All right, if there are no further queries, Caitlin, do you have any final thoughts? Anything you'd like to share? Anything you'd like me to share? This is our last moment together for a while. Are you sure there's nothing else? Yes? Is it true that you can bribe the judges with food? It depends on which judge and what food. TAs would probably work with me. It really depends, actually. Do you guys remember the student who tried to bribe us with money? Someone stapled money to their essay in Beijing. Like, this is not a good way to cheat. Because your name's right on it, it just doesn't work. People will do the strangest things. Did you hear about the student who plagiarized in Turkey? This student thought he was super clever. There was a writing topic. He found an article on Wikipedia that applied well. So he copied it as his essay. Unfortunately for him, the last line he copied was "click here for more." This is not a good way to cheat, just for the record. All right, where were we? I think we were wrapping up before I tell too many dark tales from the underbelly of the World Scholars Cup. We do have alpaca puppets, I think, for everyone. Shall we get those out? Have a puppet party? The puppets are at the door. They're like, farewell prizes. Okay, Julie, any final thoughts from a former champion? Kaohsiung, oh, you guys have some words to share too. Angela, to the stage. Everybody put your hands together for the host of the Let's Call It Round.
Okay, thank you, Dan. I think the video and your speech kind of stole our thunder, but we're still gonna give it anyway. So, hello everybody, my name is Angela. I came here from Kaohsiung American School, and I'm Belinda, and I'm also from Kaohsiung American School. Okay. So, now that you've heard just a little bit about what the World Scholars Cup is, I want to tell you about how it is to me personally. So I can illustrate this with 4 qualities. The first one, somebody put the slide for me, please. World Scholars Cup is creative. Take an example from the debates. It not only asks you to interweave rhetoric with your own voice, with arguments, analogies, and all of these things. World Scholars is creative at heart. I keep going. So it demonstrates that sometimes when you have one main point with 3 supporting details, it simply isn't enough. What you do need, though, are crazy stories. What you do need is to play the devil's advocate. And that's why it's so creative. Next one, please. Okay, World Scholars Cup is fun. You've probably seen that video of how much partying we do and how much alpaca throwing. Yeah. The World Scholars Cup is so fun. So if you guys join Business Club or MUN, which I'm told are pretty popular, how many of you guys are in one of those clubs? Yeah? Okay, so chances are you might be feeling a little, maybe, overwhelmed by just how tedious the process is and how maybe monotonous sometimes. But World Scholars, it takes away all that monotony, all the seriousness, all the things we don't like about studying. Because hey, shouldn't learning be fun? Shouldn't we be enjoying what we do 5 days a week and probably even more during the weekend? So I'll tell you why. You probably saw we studied things over the years such as the psychology of superheroes. That was legitimately one topic over last year. We studied things like excruciating epidemics, revolutions. We studied things like Bastilles, songs, or poetry from Shakespeare and Neruda. And that's why it makes the World Scholars Cup so fun. Because it tells us that while you're learning, you definitely can have fun in the process. So, when was the last time you had a class, you stepped in, and you just thought it was utterly awesome? When was the last time? Well, I can tell you that it's like that every single day in World Scholars. No matter what you're interested in, whether or not you like superhero movies or you hate them, you'll find something you like. And that's the magic with World Scholars. I apologize for my voice. I lost it this morning. So, next slide. The World Scholars Cup is enlightening. I'd like to ask you, how many countries have you been to? Caitlin, how many countries have you been to? 10? Anybody else? So maybe it's 10, maybe it's 2, or maybe it's 20. But no matter what the number is, okay, so I'd like to ask you now, but how many countries have you been to that have seriously resonated with you? Something that when you've, when you come home, that have something that you've taken a piece of you, that you feel changed after coming home? Probably not that many. But in the World Scholars Cup, it feels like you've been to more than 50 countries. Because imagine this. You're stepping into a room filled with 3,000 people from more than 50 countries. And when you're there, it feels like you're brewing a rich stew full of thousands and thousands of flavors. And you're one of them. You are bringing your culture, your background, whatever it is that you have, and you're contributing a piece of yourself. And you're also getting to taste and see other people. Where else in the world do you think in one night you can get to taste Swiss chocolate, hear a Zambia story, mock vote for Trump, have your name written in Arabic and Korean, eat pastries from Pakistan? Where else in the world do you think you can do that? And that's why it makes the World Scholars Cup so special and so enlightening, because you get to see and interact with all of these cultures. Next slide, please. Okay. But nonetheless, I do have to mention that World Scholars is a challenge. Giving a speech, writing a cohesive and convincing essay, or researching in the extensive, albeit fun, but still extensive sometimes. Or on the other side, being social, talking to strangers, or asking that person you really, really want to the Scholars Ball and getting ready to party with 3,000 other teenagers. These are all hard, these are challenging, and they don't come that easily. But hey, these are all lessons that WSC can give to you. Whether it's that you want to speak or write well, you want to research effectively, or you just want to gain from the material that we study per year. These are all things that World Scholars can help you with. And this huge challenge conveys the message that the ordinary people can do extraordinary things. You don't have to be the first in class to come here, to enjoy, to celebrate learning. And how could I imagine 3 years ago that I'd be standing here in front of an auditorium in a school I don't know, and talking in front of you guys? Because I remember my first debate. Okay, imagine this. It was in a little room, it was our team on this side, and it was their team on that side, and we were discussing the beauty in pageants, whether or not that counts as beauty. I remember myself clutching my notes, going up. I was so nervous. I didn't really have any points. My arguments went awry. My examples were not very, they didn't really support my argument at all. And I went up there and I completely crashed. And it was terrible, and I felt really humiliated. But that day, I picked myself back up. I knew I could do it. I knew I needed to go on, and I took a leap of faith. And I really think all of you new scholars should too, and I think all of old scholars know what I'm talking about. So with this, I'll hand over to Belinda, who'll talk a little bit more about how Old Scholars is for her.
Thank you, Angela. So I'll be talking about my first experience. Last year I had the best first-time experience ever. I had the amazing opportunity to join World Scholars with a couple of my friends. And let me tell you, it not only let me have fun over the summer, but it also gave me this whole new impression of the global community. In World Scholars Cup, not only do you get to learn with your friends, but you get to learn from them and from all the other global participants. And while you're having fun learning, you're also having fun doing all the other activities. During my first regional round, I had a lot of fun, but as much fun as I had during regional rounds, the global round was definitely the main thing of World Scholars. It had the best music, the best activities, and the best puns, or even better, quans. During my first global round, it not only helped me discover my love for debating, but it also improved my public speaking skills. Without World Scholars Cup, I would not be standing here today talking to you guys. World Scholars Cup has definitely impacted my life a lot last year. And now I'm finally done with my long lines of showing off how much fun I had. You know a little bit about how fun World Scholars is, but please join our community to find out more. Join us to be a part of a global community, to be part of a new adventure. World Scholars Cup is not just for those kids you label as the smart ones in your class, but they are for anyone, anywhere, at any time. Join us to be a part of something even bigger and better and more magical. So now bring the spotlight back to Angela.
Hi guys. Okay, last thing. The next one involves transitions. Could you switch aside, please? Okay. Click again, maybe? And again, I'm not sure, it's frozen. Oh, okay. Okay, so that was what I was gonna end with. But if you go back to the previous slide, it had some words in the corner, which I believe are friendship. World Scholars thrives on friendship. And without this, it would just be any other competition that's both really rigorous and rewarding. World Scholars is about friendship. Now, you guys probably know a bit about Taiwan's really complicated relationship with China, and how we're not really allowed to declare that we're independent or wave our flags in random places. We're not really allowed to do that because of these political tensions, but I find that in the World Scholars Cup, there's no place for these biases. And that's because we, as a world, we were there to learn from each other. We weren't there to execute the official relationships that adults have set up, that the tensions that we're supposed to abide to. We were there to meet each other. and not turn our backs in hostility just because you have a different colored passport. We were also there to bond as a global community, not tear ourselves inside out just to get the upper hand, and that's why in the World Scholars Cup, you can see flags of Taiwan, of Hong Kong, of Palestine, of these nations, because we weren't there for these reasons. We were here to learn. We were here to celebrate our learning and have fun in the process. And that's why, for me, the most important lesson that World Scholars has taught me all along, whether it is giving a speech, writing, all of this, the most important lesson is compassion and friendship. Yes, you should join World Scholars Cup, definitely, to build your confidence and skills. You should make yourself inquisitive, love learning. You should see the world, and you should see that as at once creative, fun, enlightening, and challenging. But you should join because there's so much friendship going around between us scholars, between scholars and the directors, between nations, essentially. This is why I like to end with a quote. Could you change the slide, please? I like to end a quote with a little someone named Dylan Croft. And that is, join WSC because there is the world to see. Thank you.
Thank you, Angel. So, as we finish up, I actually got in trouble in elementary school because my teacher during the parent conference told my parents that your child just loves to argue. Whatever he does, he has a reason, and he's never wrong, and he should just grow up, be a lawyer one day. And I got in trouble for that. I wish I grew up, when I was growing up, it was World Scholar Cup, so I can release that skill and that talent into something that's positive and encouraging. So thank you, Daniel, for bringing that experience for us. So yeah. And thank you to Linda, Glenda, Angel, and Julie, who likes to sit in the background and all the work that she does for us in the background. So let's give it a round of applause. Thanks everyone for coming here. It's a great program. If I were you, it's a great opportunity for you to just, and parents, maybe they will use up all their arguing energy and they will go home and ready to listen and obey. Who knows? But thank you for coming. And if you have any question, talk to Kaylin, talk to Mr. Gunther, who's in charge of the high school club, and talk to me for middle school. Okay? And we'd love to answer any other questions that you have. Pick up one of these on your way out, and thank you for coming.